It's time for In Bed with Jed.
Hey, all you cool cats and kittens. Oh, sorry, wrong show. Welcome to the very first episode of In Bed with Jed. I'm Jed Ryan. Obviously, I'm in bed. And this is the very first episode. And we're virtual for now, hopefully, not for too much longer. So you are witnessing the first of this show. And I can't imagine a better guest than someone who I absolutely adore. She is a performer, a songwriter, and one of the most dedicated HIV/AIDS activists that I've ever met. So please welcome, drum roll please, Candy Samples, Queen of the Bears, superstar. Candy, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you for having me. This has been crazy times. And when you said I'm doing a show called In Bed with Jed, I said I had the perfect caftan. Because when I'm in bed, I mean, Katie Sample sleeps in the nude. So, this is my pre-bed outfit.
Yes. Well, Candy Samples, lovely, smart, and talented. And I said anybody could wear whatever they want to, whatever you would normally wear to bed. And the women could wear the lingerie, the men could wear the lingerie, a frilly nightgown, whatever you want to wear. If you sleep in the all together, it's fine. With some artful editing, we can cover up the good parts. So, but Candy is
I don't know if you have enough CGI to fix this body.
Oh, stop. Wow. Well, I also, you are a very special guest to me, not because of all the reasons I just mentioned, but because I realized that your show at Albatross in Astoria, New York, wow, that was Saturday, March 7th. And that was, for Joe and I, my husband Joe and I, that was the last real social event that we had gone to before the city went on lockdown. So that will always remain in my heart.
I'm so glad y'all were there. And we had a great time. That show was magic. It was on fire. We raised a lot of money. I think we raised about $300 at that show, and all of that money got doubled. So by a generous benefactor. So we are coming up on AIDS Walk, and that's what those fundraiser shows were for that I was doing at the beginning of the year, and we lost our fundraising time because that was I watched the calendar go by for the April show at Albatross and the May show. And I decided to do a Facebook Live because I could not get those bar shows in. Gay Men's Health Crisis, GMHC, needs our dollars so much more now because they're fighting not just HIV/AIDS, they're fighting COVID-19 and trying to reconfigure how they deliver services. And it's quite a feat on anybody, whether, as you know, in the healthcare industry, but also in the social service agencies. The world has been turned upside down, and they need money. And so what I decided to do was, by myself here in Candyland, I did a Sunday services benefit that I streamed on Facebook Live. And the scariest, I've never been so scared. As a performer, I'd love to be on stage. That's where I'm most comfortable. But we did, and I say Candy Rappers, my co-captain, Jesse Pascal.
Yes, for those of you who don't know Candy, and if you don't, you should. For those of you that don't know Candy, her team that she founded, the Candy Rappers, consistently is one of the highest fundraising groups in AIDS Walk, New York, every single year. So that is something to be happy about and proud of. So
thank you. I am so proud, and I wanted to make sure that we were one of those leading teams. So I did this Facebook Live, and by myself. I mean, normally at Albatross I have Joey Paradise or DJ Gingy. I have a wonderful bar staff. I have so much support, including whoever that works at the bar that comes to my show that night. A lot of the bar staff will come in on their off nights to come support. And doing this remote and having, you know, some good team members to help me out beforehand, doing some tests and things. It was one of those, I pressed start and did it, and I could see that there were things tagging up on the screen, but I couldn't read them. But I was just like, okay, we're going to start this show. We're going to go through it, and then we're going to finish it.
Now, for a performer, I know that many performers are finding creative and exciting ways to deal with being on lockdown and giving their fans what they want. And a lot of them have told me that when you have an audience, when you're performing live, you really feed off the energy that the audience gives back to you. And you see their reactions, you hear their laughter, you receive their applause. So what is it like when you're doing a remote show as a performer, especially someone like you who really does talk to the audience, who does interact with the audience, who pulls people up on stage? How has that been like for you to be doing this in a all new venue?
It's almost, yeah, you don't get that same feed of that direct response where you know that joke worked or that story, you know, don't do it. Because I mean, it's not always the applause you get in a bar. It's sometimes it's the silence. So
yes,
doing this show and in my living room and not knowing how is this going to pull off, because all I'm hearing is silence, and you really depend on seeing the flicker of the messages or the emojis and all of those things. And also, I think as a performer, and especially with my show, which is, you know, it is the fundraiser shows are the story I tell about my family, about my father. My father was hemophiliac, and he contracted HIV through his blood products that he took regularly, transfusions, factor VIII, and diagnosed in '88, died in '91. And I tell that story. I also tell the story of a young drag queen that has come to New York City by way of Stone Mountain, Georgia, and the music of my life. And I've always written about moments and very special moments in my life. So I tell this story, so I do have a little confidence in that, you know, I know that story I'm telling. And even if it's bringing out a new song or something, the truth is there. There is, I believe, a connection. And I hope that rings true through the audience. It sure did at the show on May 17th, because we raised about $1,200 on Venmo, which was able to be doubled. So that was $2,400. And then we raised about $2,400 as well in online donations directly to AIDS Walk. So you're talking,
yeah.
It was
now that
about
deserves an applause.
Thank you. It was I think when I was said and done, there was more on the AIDS Walk side. I think it's about $5,600 that we got in that moment in 1 hour.
Wow.
That took care of the other bar shows that I missed.
That's terrific. That is really amazing. So on the subject of AIDS Walk, as we all know, live AIDS Walk did not happen this year. And
Right.
what has that been like for you? How have you been? Well, first, before we go into that, I want to ask you personally. I know you're such a guru about pop culture, and you have such great regard for all the vintage Vice TV shows, and a lot of people are now.
We talk about this all the time. The world is going to see that they don't know because they're not always with us. But this is what we do. Me, you, and Joe, and we talk about all the classics.
Yes, we do. And a lot of people are now. I mean, we're basically, like you said, cooking at home, like we talked about before, and kind of like binge watching TV. Have you discovered anything new or rediscovered any guilty pleasures while you're home in Candyland?
You know, ironically, all of that free time that is that I see people posting about, and I haven't had as much of that.
Yes.
I work by day in the social service field, and so those hours just got longer. Or that day brought on, 37% more stress. So what I have been doing, I did the Tiger King. I started with the world. We all watched that same weekend, and because I was like, "What are people posting about this?" And I was like, "Let me watch one." And then, the 3 a.m. when I went to bed on Sunday, I'd seen the whole series.
You watched the whole series in one night?
I watched, yes, in one setting.
Wow.
Yes. Yes. I mean, then there was the other one, the recap, or the interviews that they did after the fact. But I watched that later because it came out later. But I watched everything that was there in one setting, because it was like a train wreck. I mean, it started in the gutter, and then it just kept going. And I was like, it can't get any worse. And it did. And and the only thing I could think in this, I was like, and this is why, with this craziness, these just crazy people, and I was like, this is why Donald Trump is president.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yes. The first thing I thought of, that was what you just said, was probably the second thing I thought of. But the first thing was, how many Joe Exotic and Carol Baskin costumes are we going to see this Halloween?
Okay, so I'm going to try to show you this. So my cousin in Georgia, she had her 19th birthday party, and she had, just with her family there in Georgia, they're social distancing, but they've all, been together.
What's her name? Your cousin's name?
My cousin is named Madison. And
happy birthday, Madison.
Happy birthday. I'm going to talk about you on the TV. But she had a party, and it was just her brother, her soon-to-be sister-in-law, her mom, and her grandma. And she said, to come to my party, you have to come dressed up as someone from Tiger King. So she was Joe Exotic, Madison. And this is great. And my aunt was Carol Baskin.
Oh.
And but I just love, my cousin did Madison. She did man drag. So I
Wow.
texted her and I said, I am so proud of your man drag. And she even said that she had practiced her look ahead of time. And I said,
wow.
Wonderful. I talked to my aunt and I said, I love that you had all of that stuff laying around for Carol. But no, she said she did get a couple of things off Amazon. But I said, I think you've got most of that in your closet.
Yeah, tell her husband to be careful for a while, just in case he gets too sucked into the character there.
My aunt texted me that picture, and I said, "Don't make me go check under that septic tank."
Whoa!
That's where he is, right? I mean, what do you think?
We all know it, and it's basically I think it's kind of like an open secret. And don't get me wrong, innocent until proven guilty. But the fact that they dedicated a whole episode of the series to Carol herself, I think that, let's just say that I think that the audience, whatever conclusions they drew, are correct.
I love your legal disclaimer on In Bed With Jed. No, but I mean, come on.
Yeah. Exactly,
Yeah, and don't make me make the face. You know what? That's going to be the next series. Candy goes down to Florida and solves the Baskin murder. Or no, that wasn't his name. It was Baskin is the new married name. What was it? Well, I can't even remember.
Heard it here, folks. Yeah, remember, you heard it here first. You thought you were just gonna hear some good music and all that. But so now, back to AIDS Walk. I have to ask, now that we know that it was canceled, the live version, and what has that been like for you? Because I know for a fact that you work all year long. AIDS Walk itself is only one afternoon, but you work tirelessly, you and Elizabeth Ann and all the candy wrappers. What has that been like? Because that had to be a real kick with the stiletto and the
Well,
behind there.
okay, the first thought during all of this, when we were beginning a pause, was not that we couldn't do the walk, but I realized the walk probably couldn't happen because that we would inadvertently transmit. And that, the AIDS walk, we've got a lot of people who are immune compromised. And I did not want to put anyone at risk. I think, you're a team leader, you've got this team, and sometimes you have to say, and we do this with the candy wrappers, is we say, if you can't walk, be a virtual walker. And what GMHC has done is moved the date of AIDS Walk to June 7th. And then on June 7th, they'll have a program, but it'll be a virtual event that everyone can watch. I believe it begins at 10 a.m. Eastern time on June 7th.
Wow. Yes.
So to not have the walk, that's okay. I think, but what was important was that we continue to fundraise and that we continue to help GMHC carry on the work that they need to do.
Yes, and that's an important message for everybody out there who wanted to be a part of AIDS Walk every year, but for whatever reason, either you don't live in New York, the first reason, or you just can't, are not physically able to make that walk, or it just can't fit into your schedule. You can, as Candy said, be a part of it and help raise money virtually and be a fundraiser.
We've had candy wrappers that are overseas that want to be a part of the candy team. They want to sign up. You can always sign up. It's free to sign up. And we always say sign up and raise $25. And, I've got probably 2,000 friends on Facebook. And I always put it out there like, I've got this many people. If all of y'all signed up as a candy wrapper and raised and donated the first $25 to yourself and then posted that you did that, someone else is going to donate $25. And by many, many, many people in this world, we could do so much with so little. We don't have to invest a ton, but we can spread the word, and we can, and in that way, help spread this wealth and help GMHC.
Yes, yes. And I try never to miss AIDS Walk because it is just an amazing experience, the live AIDS Walk, because you are surrounded by people all there for a great cause, and all ages, all races, all ethnicities, all economic levels, all people bring their pets, all sexual orientations, and everybody is just united for an amazing cause. So it's something to think about in the future, doing the live AIDS Walk. But as Candy said, if you can't, definitely you could participate, and in Candy's own words, using your powers for good.
That song has really become, it's not just a song I sing in my show, because I wrote that about someone else years ago who inspired me to, think a little more about doing stuff for the world and my community. And now it's what I live by. So, as an artist, it's great to have, written something that it was based on this, and now it's become that. That's the lovely thing about art.
Yes, yes. And speaking of songs, we are going to take a short break, and we are going to show one of my favorite Candy samples. No, it is the favorite Candy samples music video. Not solely because, yes, I am in it, and Paddington, the leather bear, is in it. You'll see him in there, and a whole bunch of Candy's hot and hairy fans and friends are in there too. And this song, yes, I do have it on my ringtone, and wow, it's just, I dare anybody to hear this song if you're hearing it for the first time and watching the video and not walk away with it in your head. And it is a perpetual favorite at your shows. Everybody just gets into it. So we are going to watch that right now.
Ooh, bear season.
Yes. Rawr.
dear daddy, I wanna feel you fall all over me, all over me. I've been patiently waiting, I'm biding my time. I'm caught in the crosshairs, I'm gonna make you mine. Oh, come to me, oh, come to me. I don't need no reason. Whoa, 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 it's bear season. Honey, I ain't teasing. Whoa, 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 it's bear season. Bear season. Oh yeah, yeah. I'm the real Mama Grizzly. I thought you should know. The pressure is building. I'm about to blow. And the ecstasy, 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 ecstasy. Got my eye on the target, ready for the attack. Look out, Big Papa, I just might take the whole pack. My fantasy, my fantasy. I don't need no reason. Whoa, 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 it's bear season. Honey, I ain't teasing. Whoa, 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 it's bear season. Bear season. Yeah, 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 yeah. I used to be boy crazy, but I can't wait for bigger game. I'm locked and loaded with 2 shots, 1 kiss, tapping out to stake my claim. I'm exercising my constitutional right, the right to bear arms. I don't need no reason. Whoa, 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 it's bear season. Honey, I ain't teasing. Whoa, 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 whoa. I don't need no reason. Whoa, 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 it's bear season. Honey, I ain't teasing. Whoa, 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 it's bear season.
Wow, that was amazing.
Oh Lord, and you know that we had a lot of fun with that video, and that was the first video that I did where I show all this stuff to my mom. My mom is not the biggest Candy fan. Uh, I've always had that mom that knows I'm a performing artist and I'm a songwriter, but she's never been my biggest fan. And so she goes, which I love. That's great. It's not her thing. She knows it, a lot of people love it, and she's supportive completely and loves that I do it. But it's just not her cup of tea. She said that video was the most Madonna like of anything I'd ever done, and I think she was. I think Mama Samples was a little taken aback by all those men, all those beautiful men in my bed.
Well, Candy's mom, by the way, is Mary Samples, so let's give her a shout out. Mary Samples. Mm-hmm. Yes. And who I suppose she's on lockdown in your hometown, right?
In Georgia, and she lives in Watkinsville, Georgia, and she is locked down. Quarantine. She will go to the doctor. She'll run an errand or two. But I have told her stay home. I had toilet paper and paper towels sent to her, delivered on Mother's Day. So she
Perfect timing.
like a
Yes.
a stockpile, and her birthday was April 18th. I had the florist deliver her 3 different arrangements. You know, instead of doing one giant one that's like, oh my God, it's your birthday, here's a crazy bouquet. I had 3 modest size arrangements, and then my cousin Madison had another one sent. So my mother had flowers in every room. Would go in this room. So I thought that was a great way to someone who is living alone and in a quarantine. And I've told her, don't you leave that house and don't you listen to Kim. You put on cable and you watch Cuomo.
Yes, yes. Yeah, people ask me for advice because I'm a registered nurse, and people ask me for advice all the time. And it's very difficult because it seems that, like so many issues, it's become politicized, which healthcare should never be politicized. And it seems that whether or not you will wear a mask, it really depends on what side of the political spectrum you fall on. And
isn't that crazy?
yes, it is. Mm-hmm.
Because the science, like we have these people that are like, okay, we don't know everything, but here's what we know. And then somehow one side got tired. And I don't know about you, but you know, I'm tired of this too. This is not, I should be in a bar right now. You should be there with me, you know?
I'll drink to that, yes, you know.
Oh, cheers, cheers.
Yes.
Oh, look at you with your AIDS mug.
Yes, yes. And I see you with your Wonder Woman mug too. So
yes,
we got to do
yes.
a virtual,
Wonder Woman
click. Yeah, a virtual toast. Yes. Yes, toast. It is breakfast time, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So wow. I tell people it takes 3 seconds or less to put a mask on, and it takes 20 seconds to wash your hands. So altogether, you're doing something that takes 1 minute. And even if we turn out to be totally wrong about this, why couldn't you take 1 minute or less to just do something? I love it. Oh, wow.
That's great. This is my pride mask. I'm going to wear this all in the month of June. So.
Oh, I'm jealous. Mm-hmm. Wow.
No, but right. It takes no time. And we can, Jed, it's just courtesy.
Yes,
it's courtesy. And I always hear on the side of the right, that they all, you talk about God and Jesus. And listen, I grew up in the Presbyterian church, and I tell you what, I don't hear anymore. I don't hear anybody talking about the golden rule and do unto others. And I would prefer that, I wear a mask because I want you to. I wear, because in case I'm untransmittable, then I won't pass that to you. And I hope you would give me that same courtesy.
Yes, exactly. I just tell people, listen, it's 1 minute. It takes 3 seconds or less to put on a mask. Is your own health, even if it's a possibility that it could help your own health or help your own life or the health and lives of others, why not do it? What is your excuse?
I think we live in, we're both in New York City, in particular in Queens. We have a different vantage point, and especially you, being in it, literally. The world has not seen what we have seen.
Yes.
And unfortunately, they're going to see it more than they have been. And I mean, we're seeing that in Alabama. I just look at numbers, and we know the reporting is flawed. We even know the testing is flawed, and it's not in the favor that we need, which is accurate, so we can interpret it. I just wish the rest of the world would understand that, listen, if New York has to do this, then y'all really do.
Yes, yes. And especially like, for a performer like you and for someone like me who generally writes about nightlife and writes about live performances and music and shows, uh, I had a full dance card up until all the way up until May and June too. And then to see all your social events canceled one by one, it's dispiriting. So yes, none of us like being in this situation. You
No,
know,
there is so much more. I just got a notification, a calendar reminder that an event that I had uh, that was that I had booked months ago, that it was happening, and I was like, no, it's not. It's not. But I did not take that off my calendar. Um,
right, right.
but
Yeah,
it's
some people, unfortunately, they want to learn, or not they want to learn, but they find themselves learning things the hard way. And I just hope that we,
I don't want anyone to see that.
yes, yes, yes. I don't want anyone to learn things the hard way. Yeah. Now, recently, Larry Kramer, who did you ever meet Larry Kramer in person? Did you have a chance?
You know, you said you did when we were chatting earlier. I did not. I had been to several events that he had been at, and you know, I kind of passed by him and just kind of nod. Um, Ironically, I did the same thing. You know, when I was at your wedding,
Yes.
and with Joan Rivers, we had a brief, yeah, just a brief exchange where she said I looked great, and I immediately called the designer of my dress and said, you know, Joan loves it. But I did purposefully at your reception did not talk to her because I said, well, this is their wedding and they're doing, you know, some stuff with her, and I don't want to. I don't want to interrupt. And you know what? This is just the first time that I'm going to meet Joan Rivers, and I really left. I left your wedding after she said that. After she said, you know, you look great. You look great. And I was like, oh, you know, I'm going to see her again, and she'll remember. And then every time I would see Larry Kramer, I would say, this is not the right time. And so I have learned that I'm not going to say that. And that little voice in my head is going to say, you know what, if you can find a moment, why don't you just take a few seconds to say hello? You know, you were very special to me, and I appreciate you so much for what you've done. That is a lesson learned.
Yes, yes. I did meet him at a GMHC fundraiser a few years ago, and he was very friendly, and he did take the time to talk to everybody, small talk. At that point, he was really wearing his years, and there was a frailty about him, just from constantly fighting for his cause, and a universal cause at that, obviously, fighting all that time. But he was definitely still Larry Kramer, and I'm glad for that time period. And again, nowadays, your dedication to HIV/AIDS awareness has been just nonstop, and we're all grateful for that. I especially love the way that with your music, you use your music as a chance to really reach out to everybody. So you are an artist with a mission, and we're all grateful for that. So,
Thank you. And Larry Kramer is an inspiration to me. And also, what I will always love about Larry Kramer and what he brought to the table is his confrontational style, which at first, you know, I tuned him out. I was like, oh, he's that troll daddy that, you know, says we're all going to hell. Because when I was coming up and in college, that was the, oh God, Larry Kramer. Oh God, you know. And then you get a little older, you start reading his essays, and you start really kind of getting into it and getting to know what he's about. And then you're like, oh, badass. Okay, act up. Okay, I'm getting the David Francis, How to Survive a Plague. I thought was a great. What you didn't know about Larry Kramer, and then there were some documentaries about Larry Kramer specifically around that time as well. So it was a great time to get reacquainted with him and to know. And I don't love a all or nothing camaraderie where I'm 100% in with you. I like that we can all disagree. And what I liked about what Larry Kramer brought to the table was, you could disagree with him on key issues. He wrote a scathing prep early on, and of the prep movement. And I was like, well, I don't agree with that. Okay, you know what? You want to rumble? Yeah, and that's what I love, that you could have that, and then be like, we're all on the same team, but we have different points of view.
Yes, because we have to remember we're all fighting for the same cause here.
We are ultimately we are, and we have different ways to go about it. And I think what Larry Kramer gave to me was, ironically, where I never came up to him and said, you mean so much to me. But he gave me that lesson that, oh, you know what, you got to stop. There's no waiting for permission. You don't get permission to become an activist. I kind of waited for a long time to get into it, and to be vocal, and to tell my family story, and to tell my story, and do these shows. I waited a long time because I didn't feel like I could. And Elizabeth Ann, when we started the Candy Wrappers 10 years ago, he reminded me of that. He was like, you have this story, you have this catalog. Why aren't you doing this? And I needed permission. No, as an artist, you don't need permission. You need to just go and do it. And that's the lesson I'm going to learn from Larry Kramer, is to do it. Just get out there and do it.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, and unfortunately, sometimes, as we've learned in the past, sometimes we have to speak extra loud, and really, sometimes there's no room for politeness when we are doing an important cause, and
it's true. And his approach doesn't work for everyone, but he can light a fire under all of us to use. And I thought about this because Larry Kramer died on the 29th anniversary of my father's death.
Wow.
And the first thing I thought, and I was already kind of in a headspace because Memorial Day weekend is that May 27th was in 1991 was a Monday, and it was Memorial Day. So Memorial Day, which was the 25th or whatever, it was down because and especially being stuck at home, and it just reminded me of being 15 and I couldn't drive and leave and go anywhere, and I just kind of had to sit here with this impending doom of what was going to happen to my father. And then on the 27th itself, when it was in the press, I think, I don't know, right around 10 or 11 in the morning, that he had passed. And the first thing, I will be totally honest with all of you out there, the first thing in my mind was, I was like, that son of a bitch, don't you pick today. And then I was like, of course Larry Kramer is going to pick today, because he is going to stoke that in me. I have my father pass away on May 27th. 29 years later, Larry Kramer passes away. And you know what that just said to me in that moment was, the work is not done. And so that's what I'm going to choose to take from that. I'm going to try to see that that way.
Right. Wow. Well, he, even though the two of you never spoke, and he probably met thousands and thousands of people, but I have a feeling that he would be very, very proud of what you're doing. That's for sure.
I hope so. Yes. I hope my dad's saving him a seat at the bar, and they can.
Yeah. Oh wow.
Like, come on over. I've been waiting 29 years for you.
Yeah, but are they going to fight over the bar tab, or?
I'd probably charge it to me.
What was your dad's favorite drink, by the way? Was he a drinker? Did he enjoy his?
He was not. He enjoyed Pilsner, the Pilsner Urquell, the Czech beer.
Yes.
He loved that, and he loved a plum brandy that comes from Eastern Europe called Slivovitz.
Plum brandy.
Slivovitz. It is a plum brandy. It is like gasoline. You just sip it, and it will do you. I mean, it's gasoline. It's moonshine. And he would sip on that and listen to Hungarian folk music, and he was just hog. We were not Hungarian. We're not Hungarian. My dad was a ham radio operator and grew up in the 50s. He was disabled because of his hemophilia at the time, and he had a lot of bleeds, and so he was in bed a lot and couldn't walk well. And he got into ham radio, and because he was homebound, and he with shortwave and telegraph, Morse code. This is my hand gesture for Morse code. But he talked with people in Eastern Europe all during the 50s and 60s. So his great friends were from the eastern side of Europe. And so they would send albums, and we would send jeans and Madonna albums to them, and they would send Sleepovitz.
Just the essentials, yes. Food, clothing, Madonna albums.
I distinctly remember we would send rock and roll, and when Madonna got big, it was all Madonna, and jeans. We would send Levi's overseas, especially to Budapest. And there was a friend of Dad's, his name was Boris, and he lived in Siberia. And it was hit or miss if it could get on, he could get the gifts on that side of the Iron Curtain. Because this is, pre Berlin Wall.
Yes. Wow. Damn.
Yeah. I'm sure there's a file on our family at the CIA, because they were like, "What's all this mail going back and forth between the commies and Georgia family?"
Wow. So your father had quite a few stories to tell himself, huh?
Listen, I don't come from just boring people.
Clearly not, wow.
I think I'm probably, my mother loves to say that, I'm just wild, but I think everybody, I'm Southern, so I think everyone's a bit colorful.
Yes, it's funny because my friend Sean and his friend, they were in the park. They were doing a socially distant outing, and they made their own hats using some, probably those not styrofoam, those things that you take to the pool, those tubes, those cylinders, that spongy material.
Oh, the foam, those foam things.
Yes, foam. And they were making their own hats. Their own socially distant hats, and when they showed
if you
the
got
pictures
near the hat, you were too close.
yes, they were 6 feet apart, and I felt like saying, "Wow, I thought they only wore funny hats like that down south."
No, have you've been to the Easter parade? Listen, when I moved up here and I saw what they were doing at Easter, and I was like, "No, I know a good church hat," because I'm Southern, but I tell you, the hats, the Easter parade in New York is by far, that's an extravaganza.
Oh, no doubt. Yes. So I have to ask you a fun question. So,
okay.
Yes. So if you were, let's say, like the lockdown was just like, okay, we're going to be on lockdown for a week, and you only have 3 objects that you have with you. What are 3 essential objects that either Candy or perhaps an alter ego will? Yes. I'm sure he's somewhere in Candyland. What are like 3 essential objects that like you absolutely can't live without, like that you would have to be in lockdown or isolation with?
3. Okay, I'm gonna think 3 objects. We're assuming I've got food.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay, I've got food. I would say, from the beginning of time, I've always said this: my television.
Mm-hmm.
To be able to watch television, and then I think poppers and lube.
Are you?
Listen, May was National Masturbation Month.
Well, yeah, I think the timing of that could not have been more perfect. I think we're all, as I said before.
You didn't think a good Presbyterian woman was going to say that, did you?
Oh, Paddington, don't listen. Cover your ears. Yeah. I I did say before that we all had a full dance card before this, and in the words of my good friend Billy Idol, we're all pretty much dancing with ourselves, if you know what I mean. Yeah. So wow. Are you excited about the new Wonder Woman movie? Because
Yes, but I heard that it's been pushed back even more. Because okay, so I have my Wonder Woman glass. Everyone always, you've given me a wonderful mug in the past. I always get my friends, it's hostess gifts or birthday gifts or just anytime I bump into a friend and they say, oh, I got this thing, I thought of you, and it's always some Wonder Woman thing. I love Wonder Woman, and I can't wait for Wonder Woman 84 because I want to see why is Steve Trevor back? He died in World War I. So is it a dream? Is he a hologram? What's the cheetah doing? Like, I want to know. I want to know. I want to know. And it's Gal Gadot.
Yes. Yeah, wow, that's going to be interesting. That's a movie that I really do believe should be on the big screen.
Yes, don't put it to wait. We'll wait for a vaccine.
Yes, I agree. Yeah, I think that's on everybody's list. So we're all pretty excited about that. Wow. So is there anything else that you want to tell the masses, tell your fans, tell your friends, tell your frenemies? Anything?
I think in this time, I think this is a call to action. All of us that are watching this, we are at home more right now, or we are in uncertain times. This is the call to activism. And I am going to say, listen, I am a drag queen, singer, songwriter. How does that fit into the activist world? You find a cause, you find a group, you find something that you want to be a part of. And for me, I started with Marriage Equality New York, being involved with them, just doing some shows for them, hostessing some events when they needed someone on the mic. And I got into that work, and we got marriage equality. And I got in from that, I got into the AIDS work because it was something I was passionate about. And suddenly I became a big fundraiser for that. And I became a big cheerleader on the Breaking AIDS ride. And it became ingrained in that family. And I realized that we have purpose in life. And right now we're stuck at home and we may wonder, what is that purpose? And you know what that purpose is. You just have to not look so hard, kind of look just right in front of your face, because that's where it is. Get involved with something however you can. Maybe that is just joining a group on Facebook or donating to an organization and getting on their mailing list. And we will be able to do more, and we will be able to be social once again. And just listen to your heart.
Yes. There's a lot of wonderful, worthwhile causes out there, and we all want to do our part. And like you said, we need to, I think it involves two things. It involves finding your talent, finding what you're good at, and then finding a cause and hopefully the cause will find you. Finding a cause that you really believe in, that you really feel passionate about. Find that cause and stick with it and just be the very best you could be. I think it's great to support everyone else's endeavors and to and be open to whatever philanthropic or charitable cause you find. But you can also lose your focus unless it's really, unless you really find a pathway and stick with it. And I think you found yours, and you're doing amazing, as all of your fans out there will agree. I know you got an awful lot of them. You have the same people. Yeah, you have the people.
I do, because we have a lot. We have a lot of the same friends and the same fans. And I'll tell you this about New York City, and you know this, but there may be people watching that aren't in New York City, but New York City is the biggest small town.
How true.
But the one thing I'm going to miss about Pride, we're doing Queen's Pride virtually this year, and I've recorded a bunch of stuff for them. But what I love about going to Queen's Pride, especially a smaller Pride, but you see everybody that you have known for your entire New York existence, and it becomes, this is your life, just walking down the avenue in Jackson Heights. It really is. It's just amazing. And I left Georgia coming to New York thinking I was gonna have this great big city life, and then I realized New York's the biggest small town.
Yes, yes, yeah, we do. We do kind of find ourselves. It's kind of like vintage TV from the 70s and 80s. You know, you just see the same characters over and over again, but in different roles. And
Oh, or an episode of Law and Order where you're like, oh, they're playing the judge this time.
exactly, exactly, and that's one of the you know, and not to get all like steel magnolias on everybody out there, but I have to say it was very wonderful to be able to. If I had to pick like one last event before the lockdown, I'm glad that it was at Albatross, because it was kind of like that atmosphere. You have your hardcore fans, and you have the ones who go to every single candy sample show. And it's great because you can hear all your old standards, and you never know what candy might play next. You know, throw a little surprise in there. So I'm glad that until we can meet again in person and all that, I'm glad that that was the last, the big hurrah.
Listen, you have inspired me just now being here with you, and just seeing you is just because this is the first time we've done a couple of quick Facebook chats, and that's it. But this has been our link since the show.
Yes, yes.
Next show that you see in person, the next live show I do, you're going to see some wonderful new material, because this moment right here with you and I has inspired me. Listen to that. In New York, you got sirens. But
if it's not that, it would be the neighbors upstairs, or, you know, so.
This has inspired me to write about this moment we're in now, and my experience with that. And so when you come to the next live show, you're going to hear a new song.
Oh, well, wow, you're going to make me cry now. And big, strong, masculine leather daddy tops like me don't cry in public. You
Listen,
know, so.
I love a top that cries on the
We
couch.
do. Of course we do. We all cry. It's only human.
See, they do that. And then all of a sudden we're like, oh, I'll sit on it. That's fine. Candy Stick Race.
Mary Samples. Mary Samples. You didn't just hear that, you know. So
she's not going to watch this, or she will, and she'll call me and she'll be like,
well, I have to say one last thing, and you know, I know a lot of people, if they Google Candy Samples, they may get that big boobed adult film star who was a staple of like the 70s and I guess the 80s, and unfortunately, yeah, apparently she passed away last December.
In September. She passed away in September.
Yeah, yeah. So that makes you the only, if there's one, you know, and rest in peace. You know, I've never met her, obviously, but
no, I know. I mourned it. Someone posted on my Facebook and said, did you know that she had passed away? And that was news. It was news to me. Because, you know, I was given the name. I never took it from her. I was given the name by some people in a drag pageant that never heard of her. Of course, it's a kind of a showbiz name. So all of this is actually 25 years of performing for me. This year makes 25 years of Candy.
Oh, and, so you started when you were 3.
Yes. I mean, it was amazing. I mean, you know, they said Judy Garland started young, but so I've performed all my life with people saying, you know, there's this other one, and I always say, yes, my boobs are smaller. So I am sorry that she is gone. I will continue to get hate emails from her fans. I get them often, but you know, don't hate. It was just, that was how the name came to be. It was totally unintentional.
Wow. Well, if there's one bright side to this, it's that you're the only Candy Samples now. So yes, you're the Candy Samples now.
The Candy Samples.
Yes.
And you can samplemycandy.com.
Isn't it funny? I was just about to tell everybody that you can visit Candy's official website at Sample Her Candy. Is it samplemycandy.com, and we are yes, we're going to have that on the screen. Samplemycandy.com, and people can also visit you on Facebook as well, right?
Yeah, Candy Samples Drag Superstar. And
Yes,
I'm on Instagram too, at Candy Samples.
yes, yes.
I'm learning the technology. Like you, Jed, we're broadcasters now. Well, we're going to come out of quarantine with an MFA and broadcast TV broadcasting.
Pretty much. Listen, Zoom, just to show you, I don't normally reveal my real age, although I'm sure like somebody will, eventually. But I remember the Zoom TV show, so that was Zoom in my mind. Zoom, Zoom, Zoom.
Yeah. When everyone's like, "Oh, we're gonna Zoom," I'm like, "PBS, yes." And,
yeah, followed up by the electric company. And
3, 2, 1, contact.
hey, that was good stuff. And so this is all new to me. Listen, I had a really ghetto webcam, the one that was attached to my computer, and then I'm just like, oh, good Lord. I mean, it was like the Lucille Ball MAME Vaseline lens, and we got to do better than this. So, when they say, oh, we're not in Kansas anymore, I say, no, we're in HD now.
I got a ring light here because I've turned it low because I'm like, don't make me,
Yeah.
Queens, we love to paint to do a show in a bar where you're drinking. Because that's the best filter you can ever get is beer goggles.
I always thought so. Wow. Well, Candy, I can't thank you enough for breaking my In Bed with Jed cherry. I'm sorry that you weren't like here. Basically, we got all new lavender and purple sheets and everything for the special occasion. But in the meantime, till we could be live, and when we're live, we're gonna have you back.
Great. I count on it, and that's the best present.
Yeah. Wow, you're gonna make me cry. And oh no, never mind. I'm not gonna go there again. But we are. Well, thank you again, everybody out there. Check out samplemycandy.com and look for Candy Samples on Facebook and Instagram. And we are going to leave off with another video, again, one of my favorites too. And this one is called appropriately enough, Queen of the Bears. So enjoy. And Candy, love you.
Love you.
Wow.
Never felt I had a home and tried to find where I belong. I turned every corner, singing out to my own song. Then I opened my eyes and I felt such surprise for a land that I never knew. Never ever alone, so I took the throne. Fate brought me here closer to you. My benevolent grace, subjects abide. I'll shield you with love and pride. I'm the queen of the bears. Your roar takes me higher. The queen of the bears. Take it to the choir. Your love, it humbles me, and I will always be your queen of the bears. Here at once I vow to stay. Yours till the end of time. No need to look elsewhere. We're at home with love sublime. 'Cause you brought out in me this diva to be, and Lord knows I ain't turning back. Your strength fuels my fire and all my desire. Together we form a true pack. Hear the law of the land. Stand and unite and follow your queen tonight. I'm the queen love it humbles me, and I will always be your queen of the bells. Yeah, yeah. Queen of the bells. She's the queen of the bells. With kisses and hugs, we make love, not war, 'cause we know what life is for. I'm the queen of the band. Your Lord takes me higher, the queen of the band. Take it to the choir. Your love it humbles me, and I will always be queen of the band. Queen of the band. Yeah, yeah. Your love is humble.